That is, what's wrong with Portland? Except this time, we're not the ones asking that. What's wrong with Portland is actually the title of Josh Lehner's new blog post. And Lehner is an economist for the state's Office of Economic Analysis. Now, he found Portland's economic recovery is lagging behind other parts of the state. In fact, right now, it is the worst performing regional economy in Oregon. Look at this chart. It looks kind of insane, but we're going to explain it. So it shows how restaurant reservations have changed throughout the pandemic. That blue line is Portland. So reservations are still down about 50% from pre-pandemic levels in Portland. Meanwhile, the rest of the state is back to where it was before COVID even hit. It's back to pre-pandemic levels. Video lottery sales, interesting, also another indicator of in-person activity. They are back at pre-pandemic levels, but you notice downtown Portland still lags behind the rest of the metro area and other parts of the state. Now, I know what a lot of you are thinking. Portland is over. Downtown is a mess. This is what happens when you vote for so-and-so, insert name. We have read your comments and your emails and we get it. But for those of you who are kind of either rooting against the city of Portland or you're just so despondent about it that you think, well, how can we even turn this around? Lehner's findings might surprise and or disappoint you. That's because Portland, he says, is not alone. Big cities across the country are going through the same thing.
One of the things we've seen during the pandemic is that these big, large cities, the urban cores in particular, are lagging economically because we have less business travel right now. So there's less people coming in and around and meeting with firms and staying downtown and convention centers. And then also people are working from home to a greater degree. And so people are staying in the suburbs or their rural communities and spending and going out to eat there when they would have done that previously downtown on their daily commute.
So in other words, cities have been especially impacted by the pandemic because their economies rely on in-person activities. And Portland is the biggest city in the state, so it's not a huge surprise that the recovery is a bit slower. But it is wrong to say that Portland is just like other cities. I mean, ask any business owner downtown and they'll tell you the city's reputation matters and it's taken a hit. That being said, measuring the impact of that hit can be tough.
There's a difference here between, social challenges that we have in terms of violence and protest and the rise, the increase in the homeless population and the like, versus the public perception of these issues, and then underlying economic performance, right? And from an underlying economic performance perspective, Portland is average, right? It's right there in the middle of the pack of what these large urban areas around the country have experienced in the last 20 months.
Okay. So where do we go from here? That is the question that Lehner and others are asking, because over the past decade, Portland has become one of the most desirable places to live. Among major metro areas, it ranked in the top 10 for the high wage job growth and gains in median household income. But whether that will continue remains to be seen.
Portland will see above average growth, right? I don't think that's really the question. The question is whether Portland will regain its perch as one of the top handful of the fastest growing economies in the entire country, right? Up there with the Austins and the Salt Lake cities of the world and things like that. That's really the kind of dynamic that we're looking for, is the strength of the acceleration in the economy